Happy Tech Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday, whatever day you are choosing to watch this session. Today we're going to talk about 25 ideas for catching Flipgrid fever. Catch the fever. Don't worry, this has nothing to do with the Rona. Just trying to get you pumped up about using Flipgrid, whether you are using it for an in-class assignment, for an assessment. Great way for kids to show what they've learned by voicing it. Or for connecting with your virtual students. Talk about some ideas today to maybe go beyond just recording a reflection or something like that with Flipgrid. Okay, so what exactly is Flipgrid? Again, this is the advanced session, but quickly, just in case you're not quite sure, Flipgrid is a free tool. It was made free by Microsoft about 2 or 3 years ago for all teachers, where any teacher can create an account. You can have as many topics and groups as you would like. It's supposedly free forever. Microsoft, thankfully, did that for us. So you basically start by creating an account. You create groups, and think about groups as your kind of overarching umbrella. Might be the different sections that you teach, like biology and chemistry, or the different topics, or you could just create one group as, Miss Mullen's classes. So create groups either by subject or by grade level. Used to be called grids, and now it's called groups. A lot changed in Flipgrid over the summer, but it's basically the same thing. So just kind of a naming convention there changed. Teachers then add topics to the groups throughout the year. So as you have different lessons, different units, different content throughout the year, you'll add topics that you want students to respond to via video. And again, of course, they do that by responding using the built-in camera provided through Flipgrid. Students can record reactions. They could demonstrate a skill. They could provide reflections, and now they can even record their screen. They could do a screencast using Flipgrid, which we'll talk about in just a little while. So how much do you know about Flipgrid? Obviously, you're watching this session right now and not live with me on Zoom, but think about it this way. Are you a one? Have you never ever heard of Flipgrid before? Which really, you should probably be doing the beginner session if you haven't ever heard of it. Maybe 2, you've heard of it, but you never used it. 3, you've set up an account but never really used it. 4, you used it a few times with students, but maybe it's not really your thing, so you're looking for some different ideas on how to use it. Or 5, you're confident, you use it often, and you're just here for new ideas. Just to give you a heads up, I am going to be focusing this session kind of on the 4s and 5s, but if you need a review, I am going to give a link to this presentation at the end. So you could either watch this tutorial. If you're a video person, here's an ebook, or Flipgrid actually has a wonderful blog. So all of these will be built into the presentation that I give you at the end if you need a quick refresher. Okay, so first let's pause for a moment and hear some ideas from our fellow teachers about how they use Flipgrid.
Hey guys, yes, I'm in my car, but I'm not driving. I pulled over to get a nice coffee. So what do I use Flipgrid for in my classroom? I've used Flipgrid in my classroom to, at the beginning of the year, I did that this year, where I had the kids introduce themselves to me and kind of ask them some questions about, like, maybe what do they like about in a math class, what do they fear about in a math class, just kind of give me some information. I also used it at open house this year to ask parents to record something for their student. I only had one parent take me up on that offer, but it was really funny, and I'm hoping that next year I can make that a little bit more accessible for them to do. I also use Flipgrid in the classroom to have students explain how to do something. So if we're working, for example, solving some sort of equation or any topic where they need to explain their thoughts, Flipgrid's great for that. What else? I used Flipgrid after a project, and we kind of did this SSS thing, which I know some other teachers have used, where they have to state one surprise that they had, or one success that they had in the project, one struggle that their group might have had or themselves, and then a surprise that they had. So it just kind of gives me some feedback on maybe some things that were challenging that I could fix for the next time, or just something really good that happened. So Flipgrid's awesome. Catch on the fever, as they like to say, and have fun with it.
So I have a couple different ways I use Flipgrid in the classroom. One way that's helpful is if I want students to do a mini presentation in some way, and either I want it to be quicker in terms of transition times, or I have students that are maybe nervous about presenting in front of the class. Excuse me, I'll have them work in a group and film a skit, a presentation, kind of going over whatever material, and then we'll just churn through the videos really quickly on Flipgrid, and that saves me time on transitioning from going from one group to the next. And then it also, kids that are nervous about being in front of peers, they don't feel as nervous. I use it in my AP class as well. They have a time speaking portion on their AP exam, and so I set the time on Flipgrid as a max of 20 seconds, and I'll put a prompt on the board, and then they have to speak and fill that 20-second time slot in Spanish. So they are practicing that, but they're doing it in a way that they can all do it at the same time, so it doesn't take up a lot of time, and then I can go back through it and individually listen to all of them.
So I've used Flipgrid a couple of different ways in my classroom. My favorite way this year has been to use it as a ticket out the door, where kids will reflect on what we've just done in class by describing. Usually I'm teaching some sort of process, so they explain the process in their own words. So that's my favorite way to use it this year. I've seen increase in scores as a result of this, and I've really been able to help my English second language learners because they are able to use that academic vocabulary in meaningful ways. And so we'll rehearse what they're going to say, or I will have them pronounce a word that might be more challenging out loud as a class. And then when they record their Flipgrid, I put it on moderated so that their peers don't see them mess up, but that they can still engage with me in a one-on-one kind of way. The other way I've used it is to have them present their project before they stand up and present to the class, so that I can see and kind of tweak and say, okay, maybe you want to do this differently next time, and give them feedback so that their presentation, which is their final thing, is not the first time I've seen it. So it really helps. I love Flipgrid.
Okay, thank you so much to those teachers for sharing with us. And now let's jump into our ideas. First one here, think global. Connect with Grid Pals. What is Grid Pals? So we're going to take a look today. At one point, this is kind of the educator dashboard. Is what it used to be called. Now it's called discussion here. And this is where all your groups will live that you've created. And these are some real groups that I've used, like EHS Media Center, and some fake groups like fifth grade that I've used before to demonstrate things. So again, groups would be your overarching, what is your content? So PE, Chorus 1, Honors Art might be examples of groups that you would have. And then your topics are the different things that the kids would respond to throughout the year. So we're going to move right there and talk really quickly about this right here, Grid Pals. And you'll find Grid Pals at the very end. So what is Grid Pals? Grid Pals is a place to connect with other groups, other schools in the United States, throughout the world. Maybe you're wanting to connect with younger students. Maybe you're wanting to connect with middle schoolers or elementary, or your same grade level, your same content area, but in a different part of the country that you may be studying about. This is a great opportunity. So you can drill down by grades. You could go into subject areas if you're looking for a specific thing. So let's say we're looking for other math groups in the area. And then if you come down here, you can see where available people are to connect with, okay? So maybe you're studying world history, and look here, we have a group in Zambia, the Philippines, lots of United States, but you can either come down here to connect with a group throughout the world, or you can use this map and zoom in and find different groups to connect with throughout the globe. A really cool thing here. So it's kind of like you are requesting a pen pal, but you are requesting a grid pal where you would connect with another group somewhere in this country to share ideas, share responses. A really cool opportunity and something unique that you won't find with any other tool other than Flipgrid. Second idea, think local. So we're going from global to local. Add a co-pilot. So maybe you reach out to fellow teachers in your content area or in other content areas. Maybe you're a world language teacher that is studying art history, and you connect with our history teachers here at school, Mr. Burgess, Ms. Norsworthy, and you add them as a co-pilot. What does that mean? Okay, so for example, in my discussion here, area, I'm going to go into my topic or actually my group here of the Eastside Media Center. So let's pretend like this is my overall overarching group here. If I'm a math teacher, this might be Algebra 1, or like I mentioned before, world language. Let's say this is AP Spanish, okay? So what I would do right here under Actions is I would add a co-pilot. Now, you do need to make sure that if you are, for example, a biology teacher and you're adding another biology teacher, they first need to go ahead and set up their Flipgrid educator account. Otherwise, you won't be able to connect with them. But you simply enter that educator's email right here, and it would send an invite to make them a co-pilot. So think about it as similar to sharing a Google Classroom with another teacher that you maybe co-teach with. That way your students could reflect and respond not only with their fellow classmates, but especially now since we don't get to see, the kids don't get to see as many of their classmates as before. This is an opportunity for them to see different faces, hear different voices, and learn even more than they possibly would with just, that nucleus of their own classroom. Now we are spreading it out and adding a co-pilot. Okay? So think about that, reaching out to fellow teachers in your content area or other content areas. The disco library. So no, this is not a hidden room in Studio 54. We talked about grid pals. We talked about co-pilots. Now let's come up here to discovery. And this used to be called the disco library. Now it's called discovery. Again, a lot of these names changed over the summer if you were used to some of those older names. But the really cool thing about the Discovery Library is it has all kinds of topics already created for you. So you can drill down, just like with Grid Pals, if you're looking for a pen pal across the country. If you, in this case, are looking for something to post, maybe for math, and you are looking at the high school level, okay? So you can drill down just by that. And then just take a look at some of the things that people have posted. So maybe I am looking to do a lesson on slope. So I grab this one here. I look at the instructions, okay, and this looks great. All you do actually is just click on this button right here. You would add this topic, and it basically copies all of the setup that this person has already done for you. It copies the instructions, it copies the image. So if I add that topic, okay, I can either add it just as an individual topic or I can add it to a group. Like if I wanted to add this to, for example, my math group, my Algebra 1, my geometry, I would find that right here, okay? Or you can just add it as a standalone topic, okay? Once you do that, you'll see on the next screen that it basically copies all that good information for you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so that took a while, but it finally added to my discussion board here. So you can see it has now added. I can go through. I could change the title if I want to. It's copied the instructions that this teacher had put for this topic. And it's gone ahead and copied the media, this picture here, for slopes. So again, you could change it if you want kids to have more recording time. You could change that. Again, just like always, you have the ability for students to join using their at greenvilleschools.us account and log in there, which is the most popular and easy there. You could add a link now if you maybe this is something you think, okay, I want them to follow up with a Google Docs. I'm going to add that link right here. You can make it moderated if you want to, which means that the videos will not show up until you have approved them. You could allow them to download and share, etc. Okay, so great thing here that you can go in that discovery library and find topics that are already fully formulated. They have the instructions, they have the media, all that good stuff, and you can make them your own. So consider using the Disco library for some inspiration. Okay. All right, field trips. So I know field trips are kind of on pause right now, but let's talk about it just in case. Things that pop up in my head at Eastside, I think about the marine biology trip to the Atlanta Aquarium. I think about different trips that have been taken throughout the years as far as career exploration goes. And I know, for example, Ms. Jacobs, her crew got to go to Marley Lilly last year to their factory and see kind of what they do on a daily basis. So why not take that beyond just going to the destination and being done with it, but make it a little more of a reflective process. And you could even set up a Flipgrid topic for the field trip that they do in advance of the field trip, maybe what they want to know, what they want to learn, some sample questions that they might ask. They could talk about that, give their ideas, and then do a follow up. Did they find out that information? What new things did they find out? I love Becky Matthews always does the 3 S's, which is something that was a success, something that was a struggle, and something that was a surprise. So maybe something that surprised them, something that was successful that day, maybe something they struggled to find out. But just making those field trips even more of a big impression on your students by having them reflect via Flip. Okay, so let's talk quickly about using Flipgrid not as a tool to collect student knowledge, but as a teaching tool to use your voice to teach and demonstrate. And there is a tool built into Flipgrid that is just for the teacher voice, and it is called Shorts. If you go to your Flipgrid dashboard, your teacher dashboard, it's right here towards the end, Shorts. And it says that right here in the description, use the power of the Flipgrid camera to record videos, capture your screen, and easily share your ideas with anyone at any time. So that is an option for you as a teacher. This is just an option for you. This is not an option for students to use the Flipgrid video recorder to record anything, but it is an option for you. So students have to come in and sign in under a teacher topic or a teacher group in order to respond and to use that video. You would have to set that up for students to be able to record anything, but this is basically just a way to harness the power of Flipgrid's camera to record your own videos. So essentially you just click right here on record a video. Now, if you are not familiar with all the things that Flipgrid has to offer for you and students, and it's the same setup as if you set up a topic that kids are responding to, they're right here. So under options, I just want to point out a couple of big things. You can upload a clip. So if you already have an MP4 downloaded and you want to upload it into Flipgrid, you can do that. That is an option. Mirror video is just if you need to flip around the orientation of your video, you can do that. This is a biggie right here, record screen. So this was included in Flipgrid not that long ago. I believe it was released in March or April of 2020. And so actually now you can use Flipgrid as a screen recorder to record your screen. So you just simply click on this. It will prompt you that it's about to capture your screen. You can click on any tabs. You could pull up Word documents. You could pull up Google Docs, anything that you are demonstrating, a Google slide, and use Flipgrid to record. So just like you would use Screencastify or Loom, you could use Flipgrid. Also, some other side notes that are kind of fun. There are these effects here, so you can change your background if you wanted to. You could, under the effects section, you can upload a photo. But what's really cool about this is once you click on it, it just prompts you to find something on your computer in your network files. So you could actually have an image of, if you use your snipping tool, you could have an image of the homework for the night right next to your head here, and you could demonstrate and talk about that, give instructions as you are presenting. So really cool thing, you could have images all around your head here. Okay, you can use the drawing tool, which is kind of cool, to annotate things as you are going along. And you can even, instead of recording yourself or recording your screen, there is an option for a whiteboard, and this is kind of cool. They have this split screen thing that they just recently added, so you could have yourself talking right next to whatever it is that you're demonstrating right over here on your whiteboard, okay? And again, we have those drawing tools right there, different colors that you can pick from, different thicknesses, okay? Other things under effects that might be cool, you can add text if you want to whatever it is that you are demonstrating, okay? And you can also, of course, the kids love this, but we like it too, add emojis, you can add frames, all sorts of things that you can add. So you can use Flipgrid as a teaching tool, as a tool to give direct instruction to save for your virtual students or for your students that are face-to-face or your e-learning students, okay? So once you record this using Flipgrid, I just want to show you really quickly what you do. I'm going to close this. So these are some shorts that I have recorded before. So let's say this one, for example, is something that I want to use to instruct students with. You have a couple of options. You can copy the share link right here. You can download it locally to your computer if you wanted to. You can post it directly to Google Classroom, so I can post that right in Google Classroom if I want to. You could embed it into a website. So if you're creating a video for parents, you could embed that into your Google site. And this is really cool. There's an option for a QR code. So I can literally take this QR code. I can save it locally to my computer. Okay, save this image as somewhere on your desktop or in Google Drive, wherever you want to. And I could actually put that QR code right into my instruction. So maybe I copy that QR code and I paste it into a Google Doc where kids could scan it and then they watch that instruction on their phone. Or maybe you're sending home a worksheet with them to work on. You could put that QR code right at the top of the worksheet so that they could scan that QR code if they need additional instructions that you give. Or maybe you put your instructions there as a QR code. They scan that and they'll actually watch that video of you giving instructions. So something big there not to discount is the shorts option in Flipgrid. Okay, so next idea is reach out to those quiet kids in your class. And what I mean by that are those kids that are afraid to ask questions during class, afraid to, take up extra time or whatever the situation might be. You can create a space for Q&A in Flipgrid. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're used to Flipgrid, you know that within Flipgrid, you actually have the choice when you're setting up a topic as to whether or not you want it moderated. And by moderated, I mean you want for the videos to show up as soon as students record them so that they could see their other classmates' videos, or you want it to be where you have to approve the videos as you go along. So let's say I'm going to add a topic, and my topic is going to be a Q&R Q&A space, not Q&R, Q&A space here, okay? And this will be a section where students can record questions that they may have about class, okay? So what I want you to do in this suggestion, again, and we're reaching out to these quiet kids, is create a space where they can confidently ask you questions and not have a fear that anyone will ever see them. So you could add this: no one will ever see the videos added to this topic except your teacher. Okay? How do I set that up? Okay, very simple. You can do a recording time, however long you want it to be, maybe up to 5 minutes. This is the key right here: video moderation. New videos will be hidden from students until you activate them. Previously submitted videos will remain active. So I'm going to turn that on. And that means that every time a student submits a video, it's going to give me a notification via email, but I don't have to make any of them active. So what you're going to do is set it to moderated and never activate any of the videos. You can view them in private. It will show up on this dashboard, but they will be hidden. So you can use it as a space, basically a one-way communication, where students could post questions that they have. They could record their screen. They could hold up homework if they wanted to. They could take a picture and have that homework doing the split screen. They could use the whiteboard to ask questions, anything that they want to. So if you set it where it's moderated, but you never release those videos, the kids will know they can record something. You will view it, but it is just a one-way communication where they can post questions and you will answer them. Either maybe you'll get back to them via email, or during the office hours, you're going to use those questions as good things to start with during your office hours to answer for all your students. So a space for those quiet students, consider that, okay? Teachers, always, they say that teaching is the best way to learn something, right? So let's make our students be the teachers. So an idea for making students actually do the instructing would be to set up a Flipgrid where other students could comment on them. So let's say that you are starting a new topic and you set it up where each student is going to tell the class everything that they've learned about a specific aspect of that topic, okay? So they are, in fact, your teachers. They are your researchers. Or maybe you're doing a research project and you're going to have each student share their knowledge about whatever it is that they maybe researched. And then each student is going to go through and respond to that. So the students are acting as teachers, and they also are coming back and responding as students, okay? So what in the world do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at this sample topic just so I can kind of show you what I mean. I'm going to use this one right here, and this was actually what you viewed earlier with Miss Matthews and Miss Furr and Miss White responding on how they use Flipgrid in the classroom, okay? So essentially with this, I have this topic set up, and I'll show you under the edit here. Under this section, okay, which tells me that students, let's see if I can find it here now that I've clicked on it. Okay, students are allowed to download and share. Here we go, video comments, okay? So a lot of the time you may not want students to be able to comment on their fellow classmates' videos because we never know exactly what they're going to say. But let's say, for example, that the setup for this topic is you need to listen to at least 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 of your fellow classmates' posts and then comment on them. You're going to comment with what you've learned from what they presented in their research. You're going to comment on questions you may have about the topic they presented on. So let's say, for example, the same grid that I just showed you, that these are my fellow classmates, okay? And you can see Miss Fur, for example, has one comment, okay? So let's click on her and see what that looks like. So here's
So I have a couple different ways.
And you can see I have commented below on her video. If another classmate listened to her video and then they were going to comment, you would just simply click right here and that normal camera pops up with all the same options, okay? So an idea for making the students teach a topic and then allowing their fellow classmates to go through and add comments. That could be part of their requirement, okay? The eighth idea is Parent Academy, okay? So the idea behind this, let's look at this little sample here, is that you would make a topic, okay? So let's say that I'm teaching something in Spanish. I'm teaching a new topic, and the kids have practiced with it for a while, and they kind of have intermediate knowledge of it. So what they're going to do is they're going to go home tonight with this little slip of paper, and you can read with me here. Their homework is to teach a parent, sibling, grandparent, coach, anybody that they will be able to see that night, the lesson from class. So, for example, someone who would not already know about the verb tener, they're going to teach them about the verb tener. And then they're going to prompt that parent, mom, dad, grandparent, to actually record what they learned on Flipgrid after you teach them. So I have basically shared this topic using a QR code. I put it on a little slip of paper that they're going to take home, scan with their phone, and then the parent, their homework is to have the parent, they're going to be the student. The student is going to teach them the content from class, and then the parent has to go back and record what they were taught by the student. So this could be an assignment for class. This could be extra credit. In order to do this, for example, you just go to the share link right here. And again, instead of copying the URL or putting it to Google Classroom, you simply click this QR code right here that in this example, I have pasted into this little slip of paper that will go home. And now we're going to make those parents, the students, get them involved. Okay. Number 9 is a Revamp Biographical Research. And I've actually done a quick little demonstration. Again, these are all linked into this presentation that I'm going to share at the end. So I'm going to flip over to that really quickly to expand a little bit on what I mean about revamping biographical research.
Graphical research, but any type of research in which you want them to voice what they've learned instead of doing a poster board or just a Google slide or a traditional research paper. You could do that as well, but this could be kind of a culminating activity for them to prove the knowledge that they have gleaned. So what I am suggesting is if you go into your Flipgrid account, okay, and you set up a topic on the biographical research unit that you're, whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, I'm going to just pull up this one so that I can show you an example here. And I'm going to view it like I was a student. So let's say that I am going to now present, I'm ready to add to this topic my research about Abraham Lincoln. Again, you always are prompted as a student to log in with whatever account it is that you sign up with, your school-wide account, no matter what district that you're teaching in. Okay, and this is where you're going to use this last option, this photo sticker. And this is something you want to make sure that you explain really well to the kids, that it's not just a photo sticker, it's a way to upload any type of JPEG or PNG image. So it's not really just a sticker. They could, like I'm going to show here, have a folder of pre-approved photos. You know, you want to make sure that these are approved for use, for sharing with the copyright. But that could be a leading up assignment to this final culminating demonstration of knowledge that they collect a folder of images about their person. For example, here it's Abraham Lincoln that they're doing biographical research on. And they could have that saved in a folder, whether you're using Microsoft or Google Drive. And then they just add those one at a time. So you'll see it doesn't take very long. Abraham Lincoln's photo. They just basically have to do it one at a time. And I'll just add a few here so you can see. And then you have the same little buttons on the side where you can change the size, and you can change if you want it at an angle. Let's add just a few more. And each time I'm selecting that photo image for add a custom sticker, the last option on the right-hand side. Okay, another thing to tell you about this is that I'm adding all these images before I press that record button, that camera in the middle. I would suggest that your kids do that so they don't spend, obviously, their recording time doing what I'm doing right now. But now they are ready to roll, so maybe they are going to, I'm going to move him over a little bit. So I'm in the middle here and I'm talking. Maybe they're going to go through Abraham Lincoln from his childhood, growing up, symbols that we think of when we think of Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address, different eras of his life. So as they begin recording with their countdown there, they could simply talk and show their knowledge, or they, of course, could use the drawing tool to, highlight what they're talking about at the time to draw your attention to different sections, and then clear those as they are done with them. So a really cool way to voice your knowledge that you've gleaned during research using images. They certainly could add a sticky note up here with their citations for these different images if they wanted to. They could add a link at the end with those citations on a Google Doc if you want to practice making sure they are good researchers. But what I love about it is not only are they approving what they have learned through research, they're also practicing good presentation skills. You don't want to have a ton of text. You don't want to see them reading like this off of their notes word for word. That doesn't really prove that they've learned, but if they have just a few visual prompts to point out and talk about, that's really going to prove, that they have done the job well with research. So that's using that. Again, it says photo sticker, but it's basically image upload in order to revamp research. Thank you.
Okay, we made it to number 10. Demonstrate knowledge with whiteboards and screen recording. So this is very similar to what I was talking about with using shorts on the teacher side. But now we're talking about the students. So we're asking them to demonstrate their knowledge, not just through their face and their voice, but by using a digital whiteboard, okay? And for a lot of these slides, you'll see this. Click here for more details, and there will be even more detailed videos. If you want to go more in depth into any of these ideas, this is just an overview. So let's take a look now back on our Flipgrid screen here. And I'm actually going to use this topic that I've set up. This is the Eastside Virtual Learning Community, which is a space for us teachers to share our ideas with each other. This can be found, a link can be found for this on the Eagle announcements, but I'm going to use this and pretend as if I am a student recording a response. So just some reminders here with some tools and options. Again, talking about using not only just their voice, but the tools built into Flipgrid, such as, first of all, under the effects, just a big reminder, you can add a board. So it could be a graph paper, it could be lined paper, different fun backgrounds if you want to for the whiteboard. But there is the traditional whiteboard and then blackboard that they could write on. So if they're just describing something or showing their knowledge in something, they can grab a whiteboard or blackboard, and then of course go to the drawing tools and use those as well, choosing from lots of different colors and thicknesses to describe whatever it is that they might be going along and describing there. Okay, so another idea to demonstrate their knowledge is to actually add under the effects a photo, and it doesn't have to be a photo, it could be an image of anything. So maybe they take a photo of their homework and they are demonstrating their knowledge on how to solve a certain problem. So again, something you may want to alert your kids to, this is not just a traditional photo. They could grab, I'm going to get, for example, this math graph that I have here saved on my desktop, an image of anything that you might be learning about in class, whether it is a famous person that you're describing, it's a statement maybe for English, some sort of text that you're analyzing, obviously math. Very powerful that they can combine an image here and then also grab their drawing tools as well and use that in conjunction with this option to describe what it is that they're doing. So it doesn't just have to be their face with Flipgrid. Last thing that I want to point out, other than the whiteboard, blackboard, and the drawing tools, is on the other side under options, reminder that students as well as teachers can now use Flipgrid to screencast, to record their screen. So once students click on this, it will again give them this warning that their screen is about to be captured. And once they start that screen recording, it looks very similar to when you do a Screencastify or a Loom recording. It asks if you can record your entire screen or if you just want a certain application window or a specific Chrome tab. I usually suggest that students record their entire screen. And then once they click share, they get that nice countdown, and it lets them know that you can now minimize this window and come back here to stop and review your capture. So you can see as I click around on all my different tabs, it will record anything that I am talking over. So I'm going to stop that recording. They get that nice countdown, and it lets them know that you can now minimize this window and come back here to stop and review your capture. So you can see as I click around on all my different tabs, so you can see their capture. So you can see what that looks like on the student side if they are recording. Again, you can see, especially towards the end here, as I start to click around to multiple tabs, that it does record anything that I am talking over. They get recording their screen. Okay. So a really cool idea to have students demonstrate their knowledge with whiteboards and screen recording using Flipgrid as your tool, all kind of packaged into one. Now, this idea may be a little bit late, given that it's not the beginning of the year, but for those of you who have semester classes like government econ, or maybe something to consider for the beginning of the year, or if you create a Flipgrid area for something like a sports team, or maybe a club like Beta Club or NHS or the B Club, where you want to be able to get to know your students, get to know their names. I love this tweet from Jake Miller, who is a great tech guru that I suggest you follow on Twitter if you're looking for some great information and inspiration. And his tweet was about the importance of knowing everyone's name and being able to pronounce it correctly. And that, you know, you shouldn't have to change your name, which is a part of your identity, just because someone can't pronounce it. Okay. So what his suggestion was having students respond in Flipgrid before even the first day of school. If you already have that set up, and I know that our Google Classrooms were close to the first day of school there before they were ready to roll. But once that first day rolls out and you have those class roles, why not set up a getting to know you Flipgrid topic so that you can learn your students' names, get to know them. It can be used as a place not only to show their knowledge and their understanding of content in the class, but also especially in this time right now where they don't get to see each other as much as they would before, it's a way for you to become familiar with them. So a great idea there from Jake Miller for planning on learning his students' names and how to pronounce them by using Flipgrid as a way to introduce themselves. And that's very similar to what Becky Matthews was talking about at the beginning of the school year that she did. Number 12, getting to know us. So 11 was getting to know you as in the students, and now maybe giving them the chance to know us. So this is an idea that was kind of inspired by this Flipgrid topic. This is Kings Park Elementary School in a different state. But basically what they did to introduce their kindergartners to their school is they set up a Welcome to Kings Park Elementary School Flipgrid topic. And they had their principal and assistant principal introduce themselves, their registrar, their kindergarten team got together, and it looks like they did a Google Meet that they then recorded and saved and uploaded into Flipgrid. The media specialist, music teacher, art teacher all got together. So what a cool idea.
Hi, everyone. We're your Kings Park specialist team.
Play just a minute there for introducing ourselves to students. Now, again, this is a little bit late in the year to welcome ninth graders, but maybe you're a part of the counseling team. A great idea for students to get to see names and faces and personalities. You maybe could have a Flipgrid topic that you link to the counseling website where they could get to know you before even coming into the counseling office and feel comfortable. So a great idea for any group, department that wanted to do a Flipgrid together, just to let those students put a face with a name and feel more comfortable. This is an idea that I've kind of expanded upon by setting up the Flipgrid topic for the virtual learning community, where we as teachers can share our voices and our ideas. Why not create a PLC or content area or departmental grid? So maybe one for as specific as biology, not science overall, but just the biology teachers, or one for the administrative team, or like we did here for technology leaders with the virtual learning community. A great idea for building more hours into the day, which we all need. Know that we need more hours during the day. There aren't enough. But you could set up a group or a topic. Maybe your group is biology. And then you could set up topics throughout the year to share ideas for different units, different concepts that you're trying to teach. Maybe even set up different tech tools that you're finding out that are working. Maybe you set up a Flipgrid for the virtual learning teachers here at Eastside to share some different ideas. Now we do have the Google Classroom for not only for PD, but also for our virtual teachers. But this is a way to kind of go to the next step and be able to listen to voices, see ideas by sharing your screen, see your faces, which always puts a nice personal touch to it, and be able to share those ideas at any point in time. You don't have to interrupt somebody's classroom. You don't have to interrupt their planning period or their office hours. You could just add it to that Flipgrid topic, and they will be able to check in on that and see what new ideas have popped up. A couple more ideas for you. Now, this isn't really necessarily a use for Flipgrid in the classroom, but this is very important, and that is Netiquette. So that's etiquette on the net, on the web, and depth of conversation. Big warning with Flipgrid. Some students absolutely hate it because they don't like to hear their own voices or be recorded, which is pretty funny in this age of Snapchat and Instagram. But some students love it a little too much, where they use it almost for a social tool as opposed to showing their content knowledge. So really important here that you set up expectations, parameters for students when they are using Flipgrid. So simple things here, and this is a great graphic from Melissa Dills, who I found on Twitter here at Dills Melissa1. Great little simple, to the point, and they have a nice little emoji to kind of drive that home with the student, but examples of how to make sure that you are following Flipgrid Netiquette, organizing your thoughts, being kind and respectful to others, giving good examples, making connections maybe with prior knowledge or knowledge we've learned in class. Stay on topic, really important. No sarcasm, jokes. We do like to see our students' personality, but if that's the majority of what you are saying while you're recording, then that's not really the point of that Flipgrid. And finally, if you can't follow this, take a break and come back when you can take it seriously. Okay. Other reminder, always make sure to model a thorough, respectful response. Structure it before giving them the technology. So whenever I used to do a project in the Spanish classroom, I would always give some examples of, this is a strong project. This is a project that meets all the expectations versus, let's take a look at this project. What is missing here? What could be better? What could be deeper? So the same thought goes into Flipgrid. Make sure that you're modeling a good example of a Flipgrid response and showing them how to do it before giving them that Flipgrid code to join. Okay. Last thing, really cool addition to Flipgrid. It's been there for about a year or 2 years now, and that is Flipgrid AR. So augmented reality with Flipgrid AR. What is that? I'm going to go to the Flipgrid blog here. Okay, so to fully describe what Flipgrid AR exactly is and great ways to use it, I'm coming over here to the Flipgrid blog, which you can find at blog.flipgrid.com, a great place for inspiration of different ways to integrate Flipgrid into your classroom. So 3 ways specifically to use Flipgrid AR they're going to suggest to us. But before we get to that, though, so what exactly is it? AR, of course, in this case stands for augmented reality. And essentially, you can take any Flipgrid video, whether it's one that you have made as a teacher using the shorts option, or if it's a video that your student has made, every single one comes with the option of a QR code. And that QR code will allow you to, unquote, quote here, stick a Flipgrid video wherever you want it by simply printing out or attaching that QR code to it. So a student could have a video that they've recorded, and then someone could come along and scan that QR code and see that video and that student's reactions, their reflections, whatever it may be, in augmented reality. So just to show you a quick example, coming back again to this same Flipgrid topic on how to use Flipgrid that our fellow teachers were nice enough to respond to. I'm just going to select Becky right here. On the teacher end of things, for every video that is recorded, whether it's mine or Becky's or Nancy's, there is a share option right here, okay? And so I could copy this link and that would go directly to Becky's video, but I could also copy this QR code right here. And again, if you were to scan this QR code with your phone or with your a QR code reader on your iPad, smartphone, whatever it may be, it would bring up Becky's video in augmented reality. So you as a teacher could save this image. You could have that QR code on a project that other students could walk by and scan that QR code and see the video. And again, they're not touching anything other than their cell phone. So I love these ideas that are going to come up right here. But before I do that, let's look at a couple of examples. So this is a teacher who, I believe she is a French teacher, who has basically cloned herself by giving some instructions using the Flipgrid Shorts option. And then she's put that QR code on different centers throughout the room. We can see this center right here has a big QR code that the student has gone and scanned with their iPad. Obviously, our students don't have iPads. They do have smartphones, many of them, that they could use to scan QR codes. So let's just look at an example of how this looks after the student has scanned the QR
Qui
code.
dit estimer, ensuite compter. Alors, quand on estime, on utilise.
Okay, so she is giving the instructions there. So they scan the QR code and they can see those instructions. So coming over here, the idea is to clone yourself. So you could use that shorts camera, record a video introducing a lesson for your students, print the QR code, and then place them wherever it makes sense. So it could be on homework. You could actually place it on an actual piece of paper, copy that QR code, save it to your computer, and then add it into a printed piece of paper so that when students get home, they can scan that QR code and have you in real time giving them the instructions, okay? Another great idea, bring visual displays to life. So have your students share their learning. Maybe they're sharing what they learned by doing a certain project. They're reflecting on something like a research project, and then add that QR code from the video they record to the actual project. So here's a great idea for a teacher of American Sign Language. She actually had them create comic books, and then they did sign language for the text of the book. So let's take a look at this really quickly. Okay, so you can see when that student scans the QR code, this is what they see in augmented reality. This video pops up so that they can see the sign language playing along with the actual comic book that the person has created. Pretty cool. Okay, so great idea for PTSA nights. You could have your parents walk around and scan QR codes to see their own students' responses to different assignments throughout the year. I know right now that that's kind of on hold, but you could certainly share QR codes for reactions to different projects that you send home digitally. Another idea, send personal messages home. I love this. We always have those negative calls that we have to make, but what about a positive message? So again, using that shorts camera, record yourself giving a positive message and place that QR code on a homework assignment, on something that you're returning to a student. Maybe you're giving feedback on a Google Doc and you actually insert that QR code and give some positive feedback on that. So a really creative way to give positive feedback to students. And I know that time is precious, so that the augmented reality makes that possible. Okay, let's go back now to our slides here. I've given you 15 good uses for Flipgrid in the classroom and kind of the more advanced mode. I promised you 25, so here are 10 more for the road. Introductions, always great at the beginning of the year. We talked in depth about this, about introducing ourselves. Those of you who have semester classes, maybe think about Flipgrid coming up, okay? English people, quote or chapter or character analysis. Have the students do that split screen where they have the image on one side, their face on the other, and they are analyzing that character. Physical education, sports training, have the students use their smartphones to record each other. Maybe they have a sibling at home record them practicing a certain skill, and then they post that to Flipgrid, whether they're using their Chromebook to record themselves directly onto a Flipgrid topic for PE, or they are using the Flipgrid app. There is a very powerful Flipgrid app for their smartphone. They could do that as well. Digital rehearsals and concerts. I know that some of our fine arts teachers have already been using Flipgrid to get students to practice their voice and showcase their artwork, etc. Great idea for your students there, and kind of a non-intimidating way to showcase their artwork or their voice, especially if you use that video moderation option where you get to see the videos before releasing them to the class, okay? Ticket out the door, a great easy way for you to hear all of their voices. They have to do a Flipgrid before they can leave. They have to record a reflection or response to today's lesson. Maybe again that 3S topic where what they had a success for the day, a struggle, and maybe something that surprised them. A final project showcase. Again, using that Flipgrid AR, very powerful to be able to scan those videos and see them pop up in augmented reality. A virtual art show, great idea for showing your art and also telling a little bit about it in your own voice. commercials. A great idea, you could use not only your voice, but you could also share your screen if you're doing a commercial about a certain project, or you're doing some, taking you into the next example, some persuasive writing or debate. Debate's a great idea. You could have two different students that are showing two different sides of a topic, and they're posted right there into Flipgrid. And finally, of course, reflections. That's one of those things that's very important, but we rarely have time to when we get to the end of a project or a research topic. Reflections, a great way to do that is to set it up through Flipgrid, where they record a short video to tell about what they learned through that project. And it doesn't take any class time. They can do it on their own time, but you can listen to every single student in the class right there in one unique tool. Okay, so your turn here, guys. I'm going to pause for just a moment. I want you to pause your video real quick and jot down this Flipgrid code. It's flipgrid.com/56 lowercase f 3 lowercase a 2 lowercase b 2. Pausing right here so you can jot that down. Okay, and what will happen when you go to that video, or I'm sorry, to that Flipgrid link, is that you will see the opportunity to participate here and record a response of your own about how you might use Flipgrid this year. You will see some participants that took a session similar to this with me during UTC, or Upstate Technology Conference, this summer. But please add your thoughts to this so that I will know that you not only participated, but that you also are thinking of ways that you might use Flipgrid in your classroom. Okay, final thing, a couple of new Flipgrid updates. There are new camera features that I've shown you. Grids are now groups, so if you're used to that grid word for the overarching thing that you might create, like biology or science or Spanish 1, it's now called groups. You can also now just create a topic in isolation. It does not have to be connected to a grid or a group anymore. There is the new video view, including the split screen, where you can have part of your screen reflecting your face and then the other part be a whiteboard or an image or something like that. So new features in Flipgrid. And finally, here are some resources if you need to dive a little bit deeper, including remote learning with Flipgrid and some integration docs that are by different content areas. If you have questions, please contact me. You know where we are. A couple more links to different ideas about Flipgrid. But what I wanted to show you right here is a bit.ly there that you can get this actual presentation. And it is bit.ly/346 uppercase B, uppercase J, 2, and that is a lowercase letter O, okay? 346 uppercase B, uppercase J, 2, and then a lowercase letter O if you would like this presentation and all the links that are embedded, okay? Thank you for your time today. Here are some shout outs to the different people that I begged, borrowed, and stole from for this presentation. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy Tech Tuesday.